you believe that we started recording right in the middle of 2020 with all of the COVID and lockdowns going on around us, unable to meet up? So like many a young gentleman, we turned to the internet for our entertainment. Tried to find a place where we could meet up and talk about the good, the bad, and that time that Stu saw a pelican on the canal. In order to facilitate our dreams of answering all of the big questions in film, and after a few attempts at recording via other methods to various levels of success, we found Zencastr, a super easy web-based one-stop shop for recording. Log in and you're ready to record in a matter of seconds. It doesn't take a tech genius to get high quality audio or video. And on top of that, the one time we have had an issue, the fact that the multi-layered backups are stored locally means it's easily fixed all in browser. There are plenty of tools you need when you start podcasting, so let Zencastr take that headache away, as it offers a place to record, edit and distribute all from one website. Any lazy bones Jones can pick up and play and have studio quality audio or 4K video put out for the world to see when using Zencastr. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code CAGEFIGHTING and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same easy experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. And now, hit the music. Hello and welcome to Cage Fighting. It's your main man and Gillard here. Hope you're all keeping well in the world right now.
All keeping well. Hello, everyone. There is a third wheel because it's that time of year.
Yes, that's right. It is the halftime show. So we've got Mr. Ash Dolan with us. Afternoon, evening, whatever time it is, Ash.
Call me the tricycle. Yeah. Hi, guys.
I thought you was going to say tripod then. I thought,
I wanted to, but you know.
Yeah.
Married before.
this stays in.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll keep it. Yeah, it's the halftime review because we're now in the 7th month, so we need to talk about months 1 through 6. So we'll be discussing any of the films that were released from the 1st of January to the 30th, 31st. How many days are in June? I can't even remember. 30th of June. Any film, as long as it's released in the UK during that period of time, we're good to go. So rather than doing a top 5 like we do for the end of year review, this is more of a question and answer base. So we will start off with question numero uno, which is give me something wholesome and family friendly. Ash, start us off.
I'm not a fan of the live action remakes at all. I think they're trash and they're money grabbing. But How to Train Your Dragon is the best live action remake that they've ever done because they didn't try and fucking change a single thing. They just went, you know what? We're going to put this cartoon into a live action film and not change anything. Go. And they fucking did it. And it was beautiful. Even down to the score, the fucking test drive score. I was sat there. I was almost stood up clapping when they did test drive, and it was the exact same. I was in bits. It was gorgeous. The acting that they got the casting down to a T. Just getting Gerard Butler back as Stoic was fucking superb. He is Stoic now. It's not going to be topped. I want more of this universe. Like, if you're gonna have these actors, bring them in. Get Cate Blanchett back as the mum for the next film. Fucking do it.
But would you have them just do the sequels as they are, or do their own thing?
Thing is, I don't think they've got the fucking intelligence to do their own thing. The trilogy's beloved as it is, and say obviously I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh, why have you touched it?" Because people want to make money, and this has made money. So for once, it's not completely destroyed the original IP. So I absolutely loved it. I was in bits.
It was all right. I don't have any nostalgia for that universe, so like I probably wouldn't love it as much as yourself. But yeah, I had a good time with it. I enjoyed it. I like Nick Frost in most things, and he was Nick Frost in this, so it did what I sort of wanted from it. Yeah, it was an enjoyable movie. I wouldn't mind a sequel, whether they do their own thing or follow what's already been laid out. Because I don't know those films, I don't really care either way. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I knew that he'd say this. That's why it was on my. I had it as mine, but I have got a second one because I knew that he'd say it because of his pure love for it, as I have for Avatar. Yeah, I really enjoyed it as well. But we talked about this at the time, didn't we? That I have it through second-hand nostalgia because my stepson and my niece. So it's one of them, and yeah, loved it. Surprised, but not as surprised as I was for another answer later on. That it was as scene for scene almost, almost to the point of camera movements and everything was just perfect. Fair play to him.
What is your answer to the family-friendly film, Stu?
The Electric State.
That's surprising because that's been nothing but shat on. Okay.
Yeah, because as a film, it probably deserves to be, but as a family-friendly, I mean, what is its rating? It's a 12, so it's kind of bending the rules a little bit. But still, I enjoyed it anyway. I thought it's nowhere near as bad as people said it was. I can see why people hate it. But at the same time, you take it for what it is. It's Netflix slop in a way. But it does look incredible. No one can deny that. The CG works. There's cute characters. There's obviously Chris Pratt helps. I just thought it was one of them films that we used to get all the time that we always talk about. Like the kind of high budget Witch Mountain and stuff like that, and it's nice to see them again. And the fact that it's on a 5.9 on out of 71,000 on IMDb after all this time, which is pretty piss poor, really. And it has very much suffered from the Netflix disease that it was out for a week and then no one talks about it anymore. But I put it on my thing, my Andre Gillard Sheets page straight away because I knew I'd forget it, but it deserves to be remembered in a way. But yeah, for mine, it is that.
Like you have made a good point because I remember that this was the most hated film in the world for all of about 60 seconds because, as you say, it's the Netflix effect, isn't it? These things, they come and they go so quickly that nobody particularly cares. There was a time when something like this would probably be the most hated film for the rest of the year, but it's just been kind of ignored since since that first week has been over. It's Netflix for you though, isn't it? So yeah. The answer that I have got written down is the Pixar animated sci-fi adventure Elio. I didn't really know what to expect going into it. I avoided all the trailers, but before I saw one film, I saw the trailer, but I had my earphones in, so I couldn't tell what was going on. And it just looked beautiful, and I thought, oh, that's enough to get me in the cinema then. I'll watch it just because the animation looks fantastic. And then I really enjoyed it. It's a film about a young boy who has lost his parents. He's now living with his aunt who is working for some kind of NASA-esque production and she wants to become an astronaut. He's looking for his place in the universe. He wants the aliens to come and abduct him. And then one night they do come and abduct him and he then befriends another alien. And it's just this entire adventure that goes on and it's really sweet and heartwarming in only the way that Pixar seem to be able to do. Like they do know how to inject that little bit of, I'm going to make you cry, you bastard, along with the sweetness. And they really did with this. As I say, it's about a kid who just wants to find his place in the world. It's about him finding his identity. It's about grief. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lovely film that had some wonderful animation. It looked stunning as well. So, yeah, I think it's probably something that everyone would get something out of that film.
It felt like Disney really half-arsed the promo for it.
Massively, yeah.
I'd just come back from Disneyland and there was nothing about him. There was nothing going on about Elio at all. So
I saw it. I haven't seen a trailer for it. Nowhere. The only poster I've seen is the big one as you walk in on the ceiling LED.
Yes.
At Cineworld. That's the only thing I've ever seen of it anywhere. And the fact that it's on the poster when you book tickets. I've not seen a single thing of it. And that's with me being on Disney Plus quite a lot as well, and on having on the old Fire Stick with the promos at the top. Just nowhere. Weird.
I feel like Disney need to sell Pixar off because this isn't just a one-off. It does feel like Pixar is often treated as the red-headed stepchild of Disney. It was the same with Soul, like it was just shat out onto their streamer rather than pausing it and waiting for the cinemas to open. They just forced it out there. And it feels like this is a regular occurrence now, and it's not good enough because Pixar is arguably consistently better than Disney films, which Disney's been very up and down, I think, especially since post-pandemic anyway. So yeah, so Pixar, and we can move on and do some good stuff, I think. The next question I've got is, give me something bloody, visceral, or nasty. Can be horror, can be action, but as long as there's blood, guts, and piss in there, Stu, what have you got?
Oh, the moon on a Friday night. Is there all three in this? I think there probably is. Until Dawn. Again, not
Ash's face in the reaction to that.
It answers the question, doesn't it? It answers the question asked. Silly film, stupid idea. Nothing to do with the game at all. Either game or I haven't played the remake, didn't want to. But its own right, stupid nonsense. And yeah, it is very bloody, especially the water scene. Very funny in parts as well. Surprisingly enough. But yeah, it was. I did have another one. I think you might have it, Andy, though. So I was not going to leave it out. So I'll leave it till later. But yeah, Until Dawn, I think it will get shit on because it's not a good game adaptation in the sense of the word, that it's nothing like the game at all, other than the name of the film and Peter Stormare. But other than that, I mean, if that was a Shudder original, like we said at the time, people would love it.
I think before I let Ash have his rebuttal, because I'm sure he's going to have one, because I haven't played the game and my only review of it was from you when you said it's basically a Shudder film, I went in with that expectation. So actually, for me, it was all right. Like it was nonsense. It was nonsense that made absolutely no sense. But because I knew that that's what it was going to be, I was fine with it. I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
Over to you, Ash.
Is this going to be spoiling a future category? Because
we'll hold up then. Hold up then. We'll talk about that next week. What have you got then for your bloody visceral or nasty?
I had two. I think one is going to be yours, Andy.
Yeah.
So I'm going with probably fucking easy pickings, but I went with Final Destination Bloodlines. I had good fun. I feel this was a lot more bloody than the other ones. I felt like the the start scene was a lot more bloody, including the kid running down and getting pummeled by the piano. And then
that was quite funny. That one.
It was quite funny. And the old bloke who was in the lift getting cut in half, Trebion. Wow. So the other one. I suppose it's been out a while. We can talk about this sort of shit, can't we?
I wouldn't give too.
No.
Not just spoil the death that was in the trailer anyway.
No. Yeah. But I felt like they went a bit more in with the gore, and I feel like they treated it as a Final Destination slop film, which you come to watch to see it all, don't you? So there was no complaint at all here. There was no complaint in the cinema. There was a bit of laughing and cheering. So, in terms of gore, I think that's probably the best one I've seen this year, apart from one which I think you'd go for.
As for Final Destination Bloodlines, it was okay. I didn't like it as much as you did. There was some silly stuff that I like silly, but it just went. There was just a line that it crossed, and I was like, "You've taken me out of it." But as I think I said on this podcast at the time, it was worth it for Tony Todd. If for no other reason, watch that scene because that was heartbreaking. Stu, did you watch Final Destination?
No.
No, yeah, fair enough.
I was gonna watch it at the time, and then something else on at the same time. I can't remember. And then I know we were gonna watch it through other means, and it was the cam version, so I refused to do it.
I think it's now available to
it
stream. Yeah, so it is out there. I think if people want to watch it. I'm assuming the answer that you've both skirted around leaving it for me is Warfare.
No.
Oh, no.
Now, Warfare, I think, is the bloodiest and nastiest, the most visceral film that I've seen this year. The other answer that I'd written down was Dangerous Animals. I didn't particularly enjoy that film, but it was nasty. Stu, what's the answer that you avoided then?
The monkey.
Okay.
Do we know him better than himself?
No, you don't. Warfare was nasty. Obviously, it is set during the second Iraq war? Like, we've had so many wars in the Middle East, it's very difficult to keep up with where we are in this point. The sound use in this film is the most. I have shit myself in a film when, like, you can feel the explosion and everything going off around it. I feel like surround sound and a cinema screen is probably the best way to watch this film, if at all possible. It was incredibly oppressive and on top of you, and the screams that just never die out in this film. The film didn't really tell much of a story. It was a few hours in the lives of these men who were trapped in a house in the war in Iraq, Iran. And it was just inescapable horror throughout this film because it was real. Like, we've seen so many horrors and stuff over this last year, and several of them are still to come to be mentioned. But this was the one I think that shook me the most. This is it's currently sat in my top 5 films of the year because of the way the camera was used. The acting was just absolute next level in this because it's, as I said, it was inescapable. The characters who were trapped in this situation, and you could feel the tension throughout it. It was, as I say, visceral. It was visceral both in terms of the viscera that you saw on screen and the reactions in which it provoked. I thought it was overwhelming, an absolutely overwhelming 90 minutes. It probably wasn't even 90 minutes in the end, I don't think. Yeah. A good film, but also one that probably shouldn't be recommended to everybody because it was tough watching. Have you got anything to say on that film?
I haven't seen it yet.
Or is it?
Yeah,
Have you not? I thought you'd seen it, Stu.
No, that was another one where we were going to go together, and I didn't cock up the date. Was that the one where I cocked the date up? I can't remember.
I can't remember. It's happened a couple of times.
Yeah, it's on Prime now, anyway.
Yes, it is. It is available out there. Ash, is it due to come up shortly?
Yes. Yeah, but as I think it's on the next week's pod. But yeah, all of what you said. But as a child of a victim of someone who has been blown up, like, for me, I don't know. Trade away. Let's fuck you. Let's throw that one in there. Let's throw that grenade in there, metaphorically. Yeah, you just sort of sit there and you just like, I don't know what to do here. I'm sad. Yeah, but it was fucking fantastic.
Next question. Give me something funny. Ash, go first.
I genuinely struggled with this answer because I don't think there's been a lot of good comedy this year. I finally got round to Ricky Stenicki this year, but that doesn't count, and it was good. I could see why you guys championed it.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, going through my list of what I've watched, because without putting, because you have to obviously pick and choose where you're going to go. You can't have the same answer for everything. I went with Thunderbolts because with a cast like Queen Flo, David Harbour, you keep going. Like, you're never going to go wrong. And let's face it, with the popcorn slop that the MCU is, they're going to get you with the funny, the little ha-has and the hoo-hoos. And that's what this did. Obviously, there's a lot more heart to this than most of the tripe that they bring out. But I think this probably is one of the funnier films that we've had this year, because there's, looking through my list, I haven't laughed at a lot of the shit that I've seen. Not intentionally, anyway.
And it was a lot of her and him doing silly accents and things like that, which is in any other MCU film over the last 3 years, it would have been, well, this is just dull and tedious. But with them two, it made it work perfectly.
I mean, obviously, I haven't seen it, but it's very interesting that it was really well reviewed, but the box office was quite poor.
They fucked themselves over.
Is it the name change? Because I thought that was a bad move at the time.
It wouldn't have helped. I know we were saying it, we were talking about it at the time, and Matt said, "Oh, it's a masterstroke." And I think, well, on one hand, you do get people interested in why have they changed the name? The curiosity, but it completely backfired, and we were right.
It cut me off. I mean, I was never really on board anyway, but Florence does make me want to see something. But yeah, it didn't. I didn't like it.
They could have just called it that anyway. All it was a throwaway line in the post-credit scene, wasn't it? When the whole new Avengers thing. That's all it was. You know, it's your whole that asterisk means something marketing campaign behind a film that was absolutely brilliant in its own right. Anyway, comparatively to what we've had in the last 4 or 5 years, just a very bizarre choice. It didn't need to happen, and now you've got both names on the Blu-ray. So, but not on the streaming. On the streaming, it just says Thunderbolts. On the actual Blu-ray, it says Thunderbolts asterisk the new Avengers underneath.
I think it needs to be talked about. Like, what is the marketing strategy? Because didn't the what is it? Is Avengers whatever the next one? Doomsday. Is it Doomsday the next one?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
The casting list video, the nonsense with the chairs, that came out before this. And so they had all these chairs and all these different actors, and then they didn't have Taskmaster. Didn't have Taskmaster, so you know what's going to happen in this movie. So, and then that happens, and you're just like, you're spoiling your own movies here. And then the second post-credit scene happens?
Yeah, and yeah.
And then they've spoiled the next one, and like, what are we doing? And even hardened MCU nerds were like, I'm not sure about this. So is Fantastic Four going to get a bit of a kicking for this?
I don't think you
will.
I mean, the funny thing with that one, Fantastic Four was the trailer before the film started. So it's, yeah, very bizarre choice.
Is there anything about Thunderbolts that I need to know before going to see Fantastic Four?
Black Widow. Just watch Black Widow first, which you've seen anyway.
No, but I mean, I'm going to Fantastic Four. Is there anything? No, okay, that's good then, because I'm not watching it. Stu, something funny.
I was the same as Ash. I had to proper think hard and deep about this, and Novocaine was probably the one that made me smile more than anything else, because it was ridiculous. But the real answer is not a film. It's obviously the Bob Mortimer masterpiece that his last one left.
I think it's fair. I think, we do talk about TV shows as well, and that's the funniest thing this year, isn't it?
By an absolute mile. And it's not just him. It's a lot to do with him, but it's not just him. And it's got no. Well, you've seen the other ones. I like the Irish one. I know you didn't like it so much, Andy, but it's that group of people just work together.
It was perfect, wasn't it?
Just him and Richard just need a show on their own.
Yeah, I would watch that. But you're right. I think everybody in that show played their part. I think everyone brought something different that all works really well together, which in the Irish one, that's what it was, that they were all a bit too different for me, that it didn't feel like there's any joined up thinking to it, whereas the English one, it was on point. And like, I think everyone will have seen the clip of Bob doing the song at Daisy. Like, it's all over TikTok. So even if you've not seen that show, you'll have seen that. And it's just Bob Mortimer, isn't it? Like, who doesn't love a bit of Bob? And him and Richard Ayoade together, like, yeah, absolutely tremendous. It is the funniest thing this year.
The whole RNLI thing.
just everything. Like, I thought everything was brilliant in this show. It's the magic, his magic show might be the funniest thing I've ever seen.
And it's better than the original that I did 30 years ago as well.
Yeah.
Which is on YouTube, which you can check it out if you want. But it's better than the original one. Because it's so stupid.
Yeah, just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. The answer that I'd put for this is the monkey. So you were both sort of right, but I think Warfare is gnarlier than the monkey was. But the monkey was very funny, I thought. Like, I did genuinely laugh out loud, like a bit of a sicko compared to a lot of people. But the scene where the body just randomly fucking explodes when they're getting the electrocution scene and stuff like that, I thought it was so funny. Like, I think this is kind of what I was hoping Final Destination was going to be. I wanted the kills to be a bit funnier than they were. So the monkey really outshone Final Destinations for me this year. And that potentially why I didn't really chime with Final Destination so much. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed Osgood Perkins' last film, Longlegs, obviously with our boy Nick in it. It was great. So going into this, I didn't know what to expect. Because I'd seen another one of his films that was challenging, shall we say. It's only done 3. I can't remember the name of it now. But it was a challenging watch. It wasn't the easiest of films anyway. And then obviously Longlegs is creepy as fuck. I think that's fair to say. So the monkey being pretty much a twisted comedy was quite a change to everything else.
Yeah.
I thought it was fantastic fun. It felt like a bit of an adventure. It felt like a sort of 80s-esque adventure with some sick nonsense thrown in on top of it. Like that's my kind of film. So yeah, for me, The Monkey was the comedy of the year so far.
It also feels like about 2 years ago.
It does, doesn't it? It does feel like it's been a long year so far. We're only starting the 7th month. Yeah, ridiculous. Right, okay. Question number 4. I want a film that kicks ass. Stu?
I mean, this could be one or two, and the other one's being put somewhere else. So, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, just superb. No, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't like Dead Reckoning really. I know you hated it, Andy, more than most. But for the 2 scenes with the submarine stuff and the plane, it was proper, like, not literally. I was gonna say hold your breath, so it literally was. But you kind of, I felt myself doing it as well because he's there and the bombs are falling on him and it's all outrageous. But it was a proper bombastic action film and a throwback again to stuff that with explosions all the time. We don't see stuff genuinely new anymore. And both of them scenes are standouts for me. But a lot of the stuff in that film was just very well done. And the whole thing about the key and all that, it's all silly, and I didn't really like that in the last one either. And how they retrofitted all the films together, which obviously it was never planned that way. But I thought he tied it up nicely until the next one comes out in a couple of years, and
yeah,
the new Reckoning or whatever I want to call it. But yeah, I thought it was a proper action. Well, it was more of an adventure. It was a spectacle. And I think that's kind of what the question was asked.
It's also, well, I've got Novocaine and I've got Mission Impossible Reckoning. Final Reckoning was my first choice. You've sort of touched on Novocaine already, but yeah, I think I can't look past Mission Impossible. As you said, I didn't really like Dead Reckoning. I don't know what it was. Maybe I need to watch it as like a double header. Maybe it works better as one long film.
Yeah, it does. I did that the day before.
Okay, that makes sense then. Yeah, it felt a little bit too much. Well, there's just no money shot to Dead Reckoning. There was no payoff because it's only half a film, whereas Final Reckoning was money shot after money shot. I think it was impressive. I think a lot of people criticise the first act, but I think they did a really good job of tying things together. Like you say, these films, they weren't written to be one big overarching story. They did such a good job of tying it together that you could see that, oh, actually, that sort of makes sense as one narrative story running throughout rather than several different threads. I thought they did great. I thought Tom Cruise was brilliant. Hannah Waddingham was probably wasted, and I don't really understand why they put her in that role, but it was nice to see her. Mr. Milchick, who doesn't look that in there? Like, he's just class. I really enjoyed it. It was great. It was a really nice send-off, and it was proper heart in your mouth in more than one occasion. It was brilliant. I'm looking forward to seeing where Mission Impossible goes next. I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Cruise doesn't come back. I wouldn't also be surprised if he does come back. But yeah, more please. Definitely.
He will be 65 years old by the time the next one comes.
Fine. That's fine. He's got the power of Xenu. He can carry on for forever. He's fine. Ash, a kick-ass film.
I didn't go to the cinema to watch this because it went to streaming, but mine is Predator: Killer of Killers. I think it's the best Predator film IP we've had since, well, Prey is technically, but it's up there with Prey. We've had some absolute stinkers, and we've had to suffer as Predator fans, but we're back and we're eating good because them two have been fucking superb, and they've hit on something here. To go from the different animation styles worked wonderfully. That interesting. He's walked off.
No, I'm still. I can hear. I've got my earphones in. I'm speaking on the dog.
The different animation style, that was beautiful. Then to go from obviously the Vikings and enjoying a bit of the Viking battle scenes to samurai to the plane battles in the World War, and then bringing it all together, it was beautiful. It made me want more of that universe. If they want to keep it in the animation, fine, absolutely fine. It didn't hurt it at all. Yeah, like I'd recommend it if anyone hasn't seen it, because I don't think it was really well publicized at all. Go and seek it.
You're the first person I've ever heard talk about it at all. I completely forgot it even existed, which is shocking, really, because I did love Prey.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's been less than slim pickings. You'd be wasted away if you was feasting on Predator stuff and shit. But is it like you said, different styles? Is it like the Animatrix, where everything's slightly different then?
It's not really, but it just obviously starts in the Viking. It starts in like Viking era. Certain Predator comes and they have their battle scenes. Then they go to samurai. Don't really want to give the story away too much. So, but as you can see in the poster, obviously they've got 3 different people, and that's how they get to where they get to. Yeah, I'd certainly give it the time. It's only how long was it? It wasn't even that long, to be honest. How long was it? 1 hour 25. Fucking superb.
It's been on my list since it was first announced, to be honest. But like Stu said, it's been really badly publicised. So it sort of fell through the cracks. And then I remember you mentioning it to me, and I just haven't got around to it yet. But it's been really well received, which, as we know, with the Predator world, not a lot of the films are well received. So yeah, it's definitely one that I need to watch. An unexpected delight. Any films that you had middle to low hopes for and ended up walking out enjoying it, Stu?
I mean, this was the one I was talking about that could have been in the last one, and it's F1 the movie. I had no expectation whatsoever of this, knowing that it's been kind of taken over in the whole Liberty Media stuff and the Americanization of it with all the starting sequences and things before the races. I thought this is going to be awful, and we'd seen them filming it on the grid and everything over the last few years. How is this even going to work? And you think, well, Days of Thunder and stuff like that, where it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it's going to be? But with F1, probably. Is it going to be a live action version of Cars, which would have been great? In reality, it kind of turned into Cars 3. But I was stunned not just how accurately they got everything, I thought it was actually an exciting film. And the story is what it is. Everyone expects almost every beat can be signposted. Well, you know exactly what's going to happen, but it's not really the point. It's just the fact that they managed to make a sport that not a lot of people love, yet millions and millions do. They made things interesting. They did things in there that seemed ridiculous that have actually happened in real life. Slingshot stuff happened 2 years ago with Red Bulls. Again, I've never seen that before that happened, so it's in this film. I thought the camera work they used iPhones. Obviously, it's an Apple film as well, so that makes sense. But I just thought everyone was great in it. And you think it's a sports film, it's not going to be very good. It's going to appeal to a certain amount of people, and that'll be that. And yeah, it's Brad Pitt's biggest opening weekend of his entire career.
Crazy, isn't it, that?
Absolutely
mental.
A wonderful, wonderful surprise.
Ash, have you got anything? Have you seen that?
No, it didn't appeal to me. Not a big F1 fan, not a big motorsport fan. So I was just like, nah, not for me.
It's same for me. Like, I'm F1. I've seen bits and bobs, but it's not really my cup of tea. But I'd heard early rumors that this is supposed to be one of Brad Pitt's best films, and obviously it's a Jerry Bruckheimer production. So I thought I'll give it a go because, in the worst case, it'll be Bruckheimer, so it'll be a bit of action, and that should be fun. And I ended up really enjoying it. Really surprised at how much fun I had with this film. Like I said, I don't know much about motorsports, so the fact that the commentators explained everything as it was going along, and I know that, like, Matt mentioned this in the group chat about how it was Basil exposition, but I needed that because I don't understand. Like, I know about slipstreams and shit like that. I don't know about why he would go into the pit stop at a certain time. But the way they explained it, and it was in a natural way that it was just the commentators talking about stuff, that it didn't treat me like an idiot, even though I am an idiot when it comes to that sport. Like, I don't know what I don't know with it, and they spoon-fed it, but in a way that made it feel natural. And the final race, like, my fist was fucking pumped. I was like, come on. I was genuinely, like, excited watching this thing. I was like, yeah, it's very surprised at how good it was. And some of the best sound editing of any film this year as well. Like, the sound editing during the race sequences was just incredible.
Yeah.
Like, it was so loud, like a wall of sound was hitting you. Fantastic. I was impressed with it.
How does it stand up to Rush?
It's a completely different film to Rush in a way.
Yeah, obviously.
Obviously, no, it's like you almost can't compare them, even though they're the same subject. Rush is a brilliant film in its own right, more than being a sports film or a racing film. It's like, I don't even know. I can't even think of a comparison. what you even say, because you could. This is like Top Gun on land.
I would liken it to. I would say this is like the biggest budget B movie, sports B movie you've ever seen, because it hits all of the genre tropes that you expect of a sports movie.
Yeah.
So what about Cars 3?
It is Cars 3.
All right. That's all you need to tell me. Oh wow, that bad.
Yeah, there is a cocky upstart who thinks he knows it all, and you got the old timer doing the traditional way, and who wants to. It's Cars 3.
Oh well then.
Yeah, and you've also got a character called Jackson. So there you are.
Ah.
Not Storm, but still. Just watch Cars 3, Andy. Stop being a pool. You've seen the first one, haven't you? You've seen Cars.
The first one, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't watch 2.
Don't watch Cars 2. Don't be a fool. Watch
Isn't
Cars 3.
Cars 2 Bond, basically.
It doesn't make any sense.
Cheers.
Because so you got a Queen car as well.
Right, okay.
It doesn't make any sense. It's a foolish film. But Cars 3 is actually really good. And now you've watched this, you'll understand where I'm coming from with it.
Right, okay.
But a little thing that now you've got the F1 bug and you watched part of the race today. Did you hear the part where they were talking about if they're going to get nominated for an Oscar or not?
No, I didn't. No.
Because it's obviously them two. It's David Croft and Martin Brundlefly. They are real people. And he was saying, do you think we're going to get an Oscar? And I don't think so. So if there's a sequel and they ask us back, I think that'll be enough. He's like, oh, okay. This was when one of the many safety cars came out, so he was kind of filling time.
Yeah. Oh, fair.
But on the F1 YouTube channel, there is footage of him, Martin Brundle, and Brad Pitt just driving 2-year-old McLarens around the track at speed. Like they trained for 2 years properly to drive them cars, which is for a guy in his 60s to be going at that speed with them G-forces. He's something else, really. You got to admire him.
Yeah. Ash, unexpected delight from yourself, please.
It's been mentioned before, and I feel bad saying it because I was looking forward to it, but I didn't expect myself to love Novocaine as much as I did. I thought Novocaine was absolutely superb.
Big winner.
When you looked at the premise and you thought, oh, okay, this is going to be just some silly bollocks, but I think it had a lot more heart than it had any right to. From the little twist in the middle, wasn't it? The big twist.
Yeah.
Like, you genuinely wanted this lovable loser to win, and a lot of these sort of films, you lose that a little bit. But Jack Quaid I think he's a very good actor, and I think he's beginning to get a good resume going for him. It's been my dark horse of the summer of the year so far. Novocaine.
Yeah.
That's what we were supposed to see, Stu.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were supposed to see Novocaine together, weren't we?
Yeah, that was it. That was a fatal error at the time. Luckily, was it the week after or 2 weeks after that?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
So got away with it, and it was all right. I mean, I thought it was going to be Crank Cross the Boys, which it kind of was. But yeah, you're right. There's more to it than that. It's fun.
Yeah, it's kick-ass. Yeah, like it's about a guy who can't feel pain, but it makes sense how they do it. Just like the silly little things that you wouldn't have thought about, like how he can't eat food because he wouldn't know if he'd bit his own tongue off. Little things like that actually make sense. It was a lot smarter than it had any right being, which is bizarre. When, like, if you actually go and watch it towards the end, some absolute batshit insane stuff happens. It's crazy good fun. I think if you like Kick-Ass, you'll enjoy this film. Because for me, I think that's the closest comparison without it descending into... Well, I suppose it does descend into superhero stuff in parts. Like, they do go full on over the top.
It does, but it doesn't overdo it in the sense of, oh, this is just nonsense. I think, like you said, I think the bit at the end, they just go, you know what, fuck it, we're just going for it here. But at that point, you've sat through it and you're invested that much that you're like, yeah, let's fucking go. At this point, you've built it and they've built up that much credit in the bank that you can just go, yeah, go to the casino and let's throw the entire fucking money on the fucking table and go for it. And it just, yeah, came out of that with a massive smile just because they built and they did it the right way.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Really good fun. My answer to the unexpected delight is, I think I have mentioned it on here before, but it's a film called One of Them Days with Keke Palmer and SZA. I think that's how it's pronounced. SZA, her name is. I think she's a musician, and it's kind of like Friday, or Next Friday. The Ice Cube comedy films. They're not slacker films. That's not the right term, but they need to get rent. Basically, is the premise of the film. And it's just about a day in their life of them trying to get enough money together for things to go right. It's quite a stereotypical Black American comedy, I think, which is a genre of film that I really have a lot of time for. So this worked for me like massively. I really like Keke Palmer, and I definitely want to see her in more things. I think she's fantastic. And it's a proper buddy comedy between her and SZA. They're chalk and cheese, but it works so well together. The way they bounce off each other and everything is brilliant. Cat Williams is in it as well, who's also fantastic in this movie. I think it was one that came and went pretty quickly at the cinema. I think it probably has more of a life in the American cinema because, as I say, it is very much pitched to a specific type of audience. But I think if you sat there and watched it, you would have a good time with it. It was good fun. And like one of the central points is about a pair of Air Jordans. So Ash, you might enjoy that. Right. Okay. So that is the first half of our review done. We'll be doing questions 6 through 10 next week. After this short break, me and Stu will be back where we'll be talking about Racing with the Moon. Welcome back to the second part of the pod. Me and Stu are here to be discussing Nicolas Cage in 1984's Racing with the Moon. This is, I mean, we're very much in the territory now, Stu, of I don't know any of these Nick Cage films. And I'm assuming it's the same for you. This is completely new to you.
Yeah, absolutely. A very strange title. A straightforward film, considering its name, but yeah, never heard of it. Very hard to find. Not available anywhere legally. As per usual, shock horror. But it's not even available to rent. This is how rare this is.
Yeah, it feels like it's fucking a fever dream or something, doesn't it? Because it was very difficult to find from any of the usual means.
I can guess why. There's certain things in this film that kind of hints at why it might be banned or made unavailable, so to speak. Certain words, certain language used, and even the usual attitudes that may change from the current day. But yeah, you're going in as a vague idea of what it was about. And it is a very vague idea of what it is about, even what the IMDb description, because it's a lot more than that.
Yeah. So let me just pull up the IMDb description. 1942, California. 2 young men await induction into the U.S. Marines and say goodbye to their girlfriends. Yeah, I mean, to say that's a high-level overview is an understatement, isn't it? Because there is a lot more to this film. So it is a coming-of-age drama set in the 1940s. Nick Cage's character, Nicky, and Sean Penn, who plays Hopper, they're awaiting enlistment into World War II. They're working-class teens who have enlisted in the Marines and are spending their final weeks of civilian life in their small coastal town. Henry, so that's Hopper, sorry, he falls for Caddy Winger, a girl he mistakes as being wealthy. Their romance blossoms, but there are tensions between Nicky and his girlfriend as she becomes pregnant. And Nicky asks Hopper for money for an abortion. Hopper then turns to Caddy because of this misunderstanding of her being wealthy, and things kind of go awry. So, a peek behind the curtain, we're recording both Racing with the Moon and the Cotton Club in one go. In my head, I thought I'm going to enjoy the Cotton Club more because I know it's this sort of gangstery world with a bit of music. And Racing with the Moon's got a terrible title. It sounds kind of melodramatic and nonsensy. I'm not going to enjoy this. And this ended up being a film that had a lot more depth than I expected. There's a lot more story here. Like, I was watching it at first, very much laid back, I went in thinking I'm not going to enjoy it. And by the end of it, I was sat up watching it like, oh, I'm invested in this movie.
Yeah, I exactly the same. That's right. Well, again, spoilers. You'll hear my my kind of sigh at the Cotton Club, but we'll talk about that next week. This was a massive shock, and because it was such a pain in the arse, I managed to get hold of it, and a decent copy of it wouldn't work on telly or on projector. So I thought, well, I'm going to have to watch this on my tablet, which is possibly the worst way to do things. I tried to load it onto my Quest 3, didn't work. So I thought, in the end, I downloaded it on them X-ray glasses that I've still got hold of. And I thought, okay, well, fine, I'll watch it on an 80-inch virtual screen in these pair of modified sunglasses. How hard is this going to be? I know my head's going to get very hot, and now this is going to hurt after having these things on for 2 hours, or hour and 50, or whatever it was. And none of that happened because I was so engrossed in it. And I can't believe how good this film is.
Yeah.
And no fuckers heard of it. No one's heard of it.
No, not at all. I mean, Stu, you need to start remembering to use On Stream, because that is where I found this film. That is the only place I managed to find it, because it is a difficult one to find.
That's what I downloaded on, because it's an Android-based thing. I downloaded On Stream onto the glasses.
Okay, super. Yeah. I remember when we mentioned that we're doing this one next, and you said about Sean Penn, it's going to be a bit pretentious. It was, but not. But it wasn't in a way that was like
Sean Penn
off-putting. Yeah, like it was maybe it was only pretentious because of the time period. I think maybe I think that is potentially where it comes from, because it is set like 40 years prior to the film, which weirdly that works out that if we made this film now, it would be about 1984. That's a bit worrying. But I thought Sean Penn was fantastic in this film.
Yeah,
and carry on. Yeah,
I think there is none of the usual Sean Penn of it because he's too young. This is very. What was surprising was how young they are and how good they are. Both. I kind of expect coming of age dramas. They're not great. Generally, there's the odd one or two. And again, it's when we come to the if you enjoy this section, it's going to be the same usual ones, I'm guessing, as it always comes up as spoilers. But this is now added to that conversation of very good ones, because it really, really is. And it is, again, a time period that we've obviously got no kind of reference point other than films and books and things of. And Heartbeat. But even though this is, even Heartbeat's too modern for this. A lot of this stuff, again, being only 40 years from when it was made, time accurate stuff, I'm guessing, especially the cars and things like that. And they got the wartime accent as well nailed. Some of the officers. And how sad was it though? I didn't realize that Michael Madsen was in this, and then the week he turns up in this, I thought, well, it's just meant to be.
Yeah, it really was. But I completely like the thing with Sean Penn. He's a good actor, but I almost feel like he knows he's a good actor, and his roles are always very what's the term I'm looking for? He's very much of an actor. Yeah, I'm an actor in this film, and he always feels like he's putting it on. Whereas someone like, I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis, I think he's someone who is a very good actor, but I think he embodies the role. Whereas I don't always feel that with Sean Penn. I feel like Sean Penn is kind of doing a Sean Penn in most of his films, I think, potentially.
The best
So-
Sean Penn is in Team America.
Yeah. So I do quite like him in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, which is obviously another.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very much a Nicolas Coppola rather than Nick Cage kind of a film for all of the 1 second that we see him in it. But I do quite like him in that. But yeah, Sean Penn wasn't. Maybe it's because it's so young in his career that he hasn't established himself as what he then goes on to become in like the current timeline. I'm just looking at where we are in Nick Cage's filmography. So we've got The Best of Times, which was that TV nonsense. We've got The Fast Times, which was Blink and You'll Miss It. The Outsiders was another one, which was a Blink and You'll Miss It. So we've got his first real performance, his Valley Girl. We've got Rumblefish, which was one that I really enjoyed. And then we've got Racing with the Moon. So realistically, when it comes to actual proper acting, this is his third film. I'd say that it'd be fair to say that. And I thought he was really good. So, I mean, spoiler for the good or bad question. He played such a fantastic dick in this film. Like, I found him quite dislikable. I can see why Sean Penn's character, why Hopper would be friends with him because of like their shared experiences. But you can also see why Hopper, they get to the point with each other where he just thinks, I've had enough of you in my life because you're going to fucking ruin this for us.
I mean,
He was brilliant. Like he encapsulated that role. I thought he was great.
and he's always like the one friend you look up to, but you know he's a bellend. I keep doing in pity. Instead of I ain't seen him for ages though because he moved to Cornwall. Because I know he's going to. Hopefully, we'll see him in the summer. So he come out that day because it's always enjoyable. But yeah, he like one of the very first things that he does, like when he starts fighting. I'd never actually seen a bowling alleys like that before. I mean,
No, I didn't know that they existed like that. I mean, obviously they must have been manual rather than all electronic like we're used to, but it was just weird.
they're just getting some blokes at the back in vests just loading the pins back up again.
Yeah.
It's like,
I didn't expect that at all.
but the one when he punches the bloke and then the blood goes on the woman and he's dabbing a kit and then he just gropes her. And no one said anything to him.
To say he's a sex pest would be an understatement, wouldn't it? Let's be honest. He's in another walk of life, he ends up on several registers, I think.
Yeah, and there's the constant reference to the Japs as well. Well, obviously, period correct.
Yeah. Of course it is, yeah.
But being 40 years removed from when this film was made, you don't get it very often anymore. I kind of see bad sides to it. I'd prefer it to be real like this, because you do get. It was more shocking hearing it than I'm guessing it would have been at the time.
Yeah.
Because you do hear people of a certain age talking about certain people in a certain way, and he's not even being racist. It's just because they're into it, like Ed's nan or Ed's mom, she's harmless by the sounds of it. She can't help herself.
But a product of their time. It's the same. We'll be there one day. Things change, and you don't always get to change with the times. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, and I thought, being the way it is, and probably the reason why it's not available everywhere, it's very jarring when you hear some of the things that they say. So the attitudes of things and the whole abortion stuff, and it's, oh yeah, and like why don't you go in and hold the hand? Like, why?
Mm. Yeah, because I was angry watching, and you're meant to be angry. It wasn't like I was angry at the film. When he just lets his girlfriend walk off into this trailer to have a backstreet abortion, and he just sort of stands there like he couldn't give a fuck, just smoking, like, yeah, I don't care. Yeah, I was so angry watching it with this character. And when they get back to her house and he just lets her walk off and he just sits in the car.
Yeah.
Just things like that. I think you've done a really good job with this character. Whether they would like what the directors told him to do, because he's a very young actor at this point, I don't know. But it's put him in good stead that you think, oh, you've got something about you. Which, I mean, he's good in Rumblefish, but I think he's very much not the star of Rumblefish. And Valley Girl is
Amazing.
It's a teen comedy, isn't it? Like, it would be expecting someone like Stifler to do American Pie and then go and do a film about an abortion. Like, it would be weird. And that's sort of how it is, I think, in this world. So, like, that grounding that Nick has got from going from one film to the other, I think is quite special.
I mean, this is one of the best performances of the 80s for me.
I mean, we'll be doing a retrospect on his 80s film. I'm just looking at the list. You know, it's probably not wrong, you know.
It's
Raising Arizona, I think, will be tough to beat personally.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least top two. At least top two for me, I think.
Yeah, which is never expected me to be saying that last couple of weeks ago.
No. Purely based off the title that means nothing and the blurb that we knew about going into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I fully expected this to be the film that I was going to be bored shitless with. I just wasn't.
No. And the complete opposite of bored shitness, so it's completely engrossed in it all.
Caddy, Elizabeth McGovern, brilliant in this. I couldn't even tell you who Elizabeth McGovern is, which is a slight on me. But
Tired?
let's have a look at her IMDb page. She was in And Mrs. last year. Downton Abbey, A New Era. She played Cora Grantham.
No way.
She's in Downton Abbey as Cora Crawley.
Yes, I know
exactly
who that is. Jesus. Wow.
So she's still, still going.
It crossed my mind.
I don't know a lot of these films, if I'm honest. But a lot of them have got The Chaperone, sounds vaguely familiar. The Wife has got like a 7.2, Woman in Gold. She's got quite a few very well rated. She's Kick-Ass's mom. She plays Mrs. Lazowski. Look, I'm going to plead ignorance because she's not an actor I'm aware of. I thought she was great in this.
She's got such a unique look as well. Unique face.
Yeah.
And yet...
like, she was incredibly pretty and innocent looking, but she just managed to convey this, because obviously we then find out she's not this wealthy kid that we're led to believe throughout this film.
Yeah.
And you see that, like, you see behind the innocence of her looks that there is this weight of the world that she's got as well.
So, of course she is. Look, I never even looked on IMDb. Just looking at her there, I know exactly who she is in Downton Abbey.
Right, okay. So she'd have been like 22-ish in this film, like proper fresh-faced and...
61, 81, 22, yeah.
Yeah, I really liked her. I think she stole this film. Everyone was good. I think she was the best.
Yeah, you look at that though, that's nothing like she's in this film. And that aging gracefully as well, that's not having work done. Amazing.
Anything you didn't particularly enjoy in this film?
It's hard for us to find anything at all.
Mm.
I really, really enjoyed it. Even the bit like the bits of comedy, like when they change, when they're doing the drills for the patching people up at the hospital, and they change the record over and run away.
Yeah, I really laughed at that. I thought that was brilliant.
Like it's a proper lads thing to do.
Yeah,
and obviously they're running from what the title is, running with the move, the chasing of the trains thing. But yeah, this is something that if we lived by a train track, it's the kind of thing I probably would have done at age.
Yeah, definitely.
With nothing else to do. So and there was the moments, and not so much with Nick, and like the whole thing with the pond as well, or where they're doing, and you could wear your undergarments as well if you want to. Yeah,
It's incredibly sweet, wasn't it, in those moments? Yeah. I think if I had a criticism, is those kids are going off to war and the horrors that that brings. Maybe they didn't show enough of that because it did feel very innocent and unknowing. And then we do get that scene where Caddy takes Hopper to the hospital to see the injured soldiers. And I liked that, but I kind of think maybe give us a little bit more of that so we can see the impact that would have on Hopper and Nikki. Potentially, that's just like a little. I haven't got many criticisms at all, to be honest. So I did really enjoy it. Anything I've got negative was what I took to the film seeing it, that I didn't think it was a particularly good title, which is a fucking terrible criticism to have.
I mean, I had the complete opposite thought of that. The fact that they are showing that with all the propaganda and all, do it for your country and all that kind of stuff. In other words, to be very Canadian then. But it seemed more, it showed how innocent they are more than anything else. And even with him being, like you saw him almost shell-shocked when he's handing the books out. And he doesn't want to look. And then he went, I'll look at it every day. I thought, fucking hell. Well, you now throwing amputeeism into this film as well. And it just goes from being playful to then super serious.
Yeah, like proper real. It's that moment, wasn't it? Yeah.
Like all the time. It's like just stunning. I have nothing to say bad about this film other than the name.
No. I'm a bit surprised that it's only a 6.6 on IMDb when we're looking at other films around that period of time. Like Birdie is released within 12 months of the film, and Birdie's like a 7.2. Birdie's quite high in comparison. And that's a film I hope I never have to watch again. Whereas I have no qualms about watching this movie again. I enjoyed it.
This feels like it's something that even as a film school kind of film, people should be watching, and it should be on like something to study and dissect, and it should be one that's completely beloved by everyone.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is. Maybe that is what my crazy is with this, because I don't understand.
I'd agree, because like it got a few. Is it right to call Peggy Sue Got Married a cult hit?
Yeah, it is though.
Probably is cult, I'd say. And like if you look at his 80s work, we've got films like which of his, like The Outsiders. I think he's a very well. I mean, they've made a Broadway play of The Outsiders. Rumblefish is another film that's held up, and I enjoyed Rumblefish. Don't get me wrong. Birdie, as I've mentioned, Raising Arizona, Moonstruck. I think this is up there with all of those.
Yeah,
if not better than half of them, to be perfectly honest.
I mean, Raising Arizona is the number one. Get over do. This is Ian probably spoilers for that episode when that is later in the year. Well, probably about a few months' time.
Yeah, end of next month, I think.
This is without thinking about it properly, and there is other films to do. I think
You've got about 3 left of the 80s. So yeah,
this is quite. If it was, I was saying it now, this would be number 2. Easy.
Yeah, without like actually writing them out and thinking about it, like just off the top of my head, this feels like the second to Raising Arizona. I'm genuinely surprised that it's not as well regarded, or at least, you know, as prominent as some of the other films that are out at this point.
What's its Rotten Tomatoes score? Never check for that.
Let's have a look. Rotten Tomatoes. Racing with the Moon. Okay, right. It is, say, 67% critically and a 62% audience scores. Yeah, so let's have a look at the critic reviews. Oh, opened the wrong page. There we go. Right. So, according to Time Out, which is one of the top critics, very little seems to happen in this social vacuum and none of it is memorable. Don't think I agree with that. Roger Ebert, who's obviously one of the most prominent film critics of all time, really. It's easy to end a movie with "I love you," but it's hard to get there honestly. I like that as a review because I think they earn that, don't they? Because it is such a cheap thing to end with, and it does feel honest and it does feel earned. I like that. Dave Kerr of the Chicago Reader. I don't care for Benjamin's way of using death to validate his sentimental themes, but at this point, any American movie that can get past the "I love yous" without audience snickers has to be counted as a success. New York Times, an exceptionally appealing movie about subjects you may think you've already had enough of: growing up, first love, and the shuddering arms of other responsibilities. It's got mostly positives, and the negatives are I just disagree with.
Maybe when was I'm thinking of a war-related film in the early 80s. Would it have worked? Is this what what the problem is here?
It might be too late. We're looking 40 years on. It might be too late or too early, or maybe both.
I was gonna say, if you got 20 years later, second point, and everyone's back World War II again, you've got things like Band of Brothers.
Yeah.
You put this is as good as Band of Brothers
Mm.
easily. And having watched that again with the set dressing and everything and the costumes, nailed. I think it's stuck in a vacuum. It's stuck in the runtime. I think that's all.
Yeah. There's 2 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, which are both from March this year, 2025. Brian Orndorff, Racing with the Moon commences with interesting scenes of friendship and courtship as Benjamin really captures the wartime mood, also doing well setting up relationships. And Matt Brunson from Film Frenzy, Racing with the Moon is yet another coming-of-age drama filtered through the past. But what's notable about it is how frequently it focuses on the idyllic aspects of small-town life, thus making World War II seem even further away. They're both positive reviews. They're both from this year. I kind of feel like I think we've hit the nail on the head there. I think if it came later, it would probably not be. It would probably be better reviewed than where it came in the middle, because they would have had a lot of World War II prior to that as well. So it probably the release date falls somewhere in the middle.
And that last review probably nails it there. It was far away. Other than Pearl Harbor, they got away with it over there. It was a war that they were a part of, but didn't affect them.
Yeah. I think both chronologically and geographically, like the film is set obviously many years after, but obviously geographically it was a world apart from the horrors that were also going on.
Yeah.
Fascinating. So I mean, did you enjoy the film? 2 thumbs up from me. Stu,
Loved it.
yeah. Anyone that you think would actually enjoy it? Like, do you think you could actually recommend it to people? Because it's a bit of a weird one. Because in that, it's the British version would be the Homefront movie, and I don't know if that would really appeal that much anymore.
Yeah,
When you said film students, that feels like it would be the perfect sort of person for it.
Yeah, it's because it's not. You couldn't set it here. It just wouldn't work. The 2 images in where it was in it, and we've had too much of it anyway. I'm trying to think. Like, I know my granddad would have loved this, but for obvious reasons. And now I know that, I think the Downton fans, yes. It's funny that actually this is set only 15 years after the last Downton. So I think You said that I don't think they've gone to war, have they? The Second World War? I can't remember. It's been a while. But yeah, you are struggling because it's not an easy thing to say. Yeah, it's a coming of age drama with authentic World War scares in. You're probably proper film buffs, I guess. That's who you're looking at, because would this pass the Mom test? Probably, because it's a period drama of kind. And it's not a bad thing to say this is not. It doesn't play well with the female characters. Again, period correct. Not a bad thing. Well, it is a bad thing, but
Yes. No, I know what you mean, though. Yeah.
yeah, no bad thing for this film.
For authenticity wise, no, you are right. Yeah.
So that's not an appealing thing to watch. So yeah, it's a very strange thing to say, but I don't know who this appeals to.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Cage good, Cage bad. Very good. Very good.
Excellent.
Yeah. This is a bit more of a tough one, though. If you liked Racing with the Moon, you may also like. What have you got?
The obvious thing is John Hughes all the time, isn't he? So I was thinking maybe 16 Candles, the race stuff, and it's a bit more edgy than the other ones.
I haven't seen that for years.
Is that
It's the one with Dong is hungry or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, the Chinese exchange. Yeah.
Bit that, but yeah, good shake.
But yeah, but that's because you don't get, other than Fast Times and St. Elmo's Fire and the usual ones we always talk about, there isn't many that kind of, that are coming of age dramas that challenge other things as well.
They're always a bit light and
Yeah.
flippant isn't the right word, but they are very much lightweight. The one that I've got, I've gone for Jojo Rabbit, but I'm not even sure that is really the one either. But obviously, it's a coming of age comedy / drama.
Yeah, and it's what times, yeah, so it kind of counts. But it's very much its own thing.
It is. It does feel quite unique in those terms. There was nothing that immediately sprang to mind. I think if you enjoyed this film, watch it again, to be honest, because it's a good movie.
Yeah. But the fact that they made, I mean, that was one of my crazy. But they went to the trouble of rebuilding the train out of an actual train.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the steam. You think, oh well, a steam train, it'd still be used 40 years later anyway. But no,
Yeah.
restored it for this film.
Oh wow. Okay. I was just thinking, never, rarely, sometimes, always, I think, is a coming of age drama that's centered around a girl who has to travel to New York City to get an abortion because of abortion bans in her state. That might be a decent sort of comparison, but obviously that's more from a female perspective than it would be the male perspective that we get from this film. So that one could potentially. Cider House Rules,
Yeah.
going back some with Michael Caine, 'cause that's an abortion based theme in there as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
Isn't he an abortion? I can't remember. It's been so long since I've seen it.
The abortion thing is like a very, very side part of this film as well. Yeah. This is why we clutching at straws, because there's nothing else.
Yeah. I was trying to pick out a couple of themes in this film that I think you could see through into something else.
Yeah.
But watch it. I genuinely, I think just watch it. It's on Stream, which is an Android-based app. I think you can I don't think you can get it on your laptop. I think you can do it on your phone or tablet and stuff. I'd say just give it a watch because it's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it tells you on there. It's Android TVs, phones, tablets. So Fire Sticks work.
You know what it weirdly reminds me of, Stu? Colour Out of Space. Not in terms of themes or anything like that, but a film that, a film that we went into with next to no expectations and actually ended up really enjoying it.
Yeah. Yeah, it probably is.
Mm.
The inverse Mandy.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Super. Right, okay, that's another Nick Cage. film in the record books. What we do next week again, Stu, we're doing The Cotton Club. That's the Nick Cage film we'll be talking about next week. I think we've probably spoiled our opinions on that one so already. Make sure you go somewhere of a podcatcher that you listen to us on. And we're on the socials at Cage Fighting Pod and an email to cagefightingpod@gmail.com. Stu, for this week, would you like to say goodbye?
Goodbye, everyone. Just use protection. Don't get an abortion. All that you do, just be safe.
Jesus, yeah. I mean, to our American listeners, that might be an issue right now. But yeah. It's goodbye from me too. And remember, be excellent to each other.